This was designed by the famous Victorian engineer Isambard Kingdom Brunel. It carried the first steam train across London's river. Unfortunately, it became unsafe. Eventually, the top half was removed. All that's to remain now are the 12 deck supports. We're past beneath these bridges. In this area to our right, it's called Bankside. Now, that large brick building with the tall chimney is the old Bankside Power Station, the first ever oil-burning power station in the UK. Today, of course, it's the Tate Modern Art Gallery, and that's where we've got the biggest collection of modern art anywhere in the world. It's totally free to go inside that building. You don't pay no money to go and have a look around, which probably says quite a lot about the exhibits they're showing inside. If you want to see unmade beds and piles of beer cans, you can come around my house. I won't charge you either. But during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, Bankside was the red light district of London, rather like Soho is today. Here to our right, it was notorious for bear-baiting pits, cockfighting pits, riverside taverns, theatres, and houses and dens of ill repute. All this was built on land which was owned by the Bishop of Winchester. Now, one of the theatres that you found to your right was the Globe Playhouse. That's where many of Shakespeare's plays were. You can see, go beneath the white structure. It's got oak beams and a thatched roof, a full-size working replica of Shakespeare's Globe. You can now come here during the summer to see the reenaction of one of Shakespeare's world-famous 36 plays. Plays like Romeo and Juliet, or one of the other good ones. The Globe Theatre. Bankside was also the home of Sir Christopher Wren. Whilst he was building St Paul's Cathedral, he lived over here for 34 years. He could have lived to your left, of course. All the buildings to your left had not long been burnt to the ground during the Great Fire of London in 1666. Here to your right is the only place you could find adequate living accommodation. The bridge ahead of us, well, this is the Southwark Road Bridge, one of the smallest of these huge bridges standing at the time of originally built. Southwark Road Bridge. We're just going to pass through. Now we're past beneath the bridge, and over to our right we're going to see one of London's many riverside pubs. This one is called the Anchor. Now there's been a pub on this site called the Anchor for over 400 years. Parts of the original pub are still there today, and it's in that pub that Shakespeare and his players would have used the attic as a changing room before performing in the Globe Theatre, which originally stood very nearby, just behind it in Park Street. That's the Anchor there to your right. And this is the Cannon Street Railway Bridge we're passing through. And it's the last of many rail crossings as we wind our way downstream. That's the station to your left between the two brick Victorian towers, Cannon Street Station. Through the bridge and up to our right, we'll see London's newest completed building. Of course, it's the Shard. Looks like a Shard of glass. The tallest building in Western Europe, over 1,000 feet tall, made up of mainly offices, but also restaurants, apartments and hotels. That was designed by the famous Italian architect Renzo Piano. And also to our right, a small wooden sailing ship between the buildings. She actually lies in the St Mary Overy wet dock. She's afloat behind those rock gates. Her dock's still full of water. It's a full-size working replica of Sir Francis Drake's Golden Hind. This little ship has been around the world twice, one more time than the original. Both times she traced the exact route that Drakewell took way back in the 1500s. While she's here in London, she's open to the public as a museum. When they've raised enough money, they're hoping to make a third epic journey around the world. More to your right in the St Mary Overy Garden. Ahead of us, the new London Bridge, the fourth London Bridge to stand on this site in the last 2,000 years. The previous bridge was sinking into the Thames mud, so very cleverly we sold it to an American chap for £1 million. He bought it and shipped it out to America, and then later rebuilt it stone by stone on the edge of the Arizona desert over Lake Havasu as a tourist attraction. This is the new one, opened by our present-day Queen in 1973, the new London Bridge. We're just about to pass the link. As we go beneath the bridge, over to our left, the sandy-coloured building with the rounded roof. This, of course, is the old Billingsgate Fish Market. There had been a fish market on that site for over 900 years, world famous for fresh fish, and of course the porter's foul language. If you look in the English dictionary, look at the word Billingsgate. It actually means foul-mouthed person. Billingsgate's an old English word. The market sadly shut down just over 20 years ago, but only because we needed a much bigger and newer facility. The new Billingsgate market is now in the East End of London, on the Isle of Dogs. We're going to keep looking to our left though for a moment, because you get a good idea of London's ever-changing skyline. Look at the buildings behind the Billingsgate market. Good example of modern architecture. That tall glass building, which gets wider as it gets taller, when it's finished, they're going to call it the walkie-talkie. And as we pass it, keep looking to your left, you'll see another building under construction. When this one's finished, it's going to be called the cheese grater. Now, I'm not too sure who names all these buildings, but I suppose it will be quite interesting to see what they look like when they're finished. New buildings seem to pop up nearly every week. I build them so fast these days. To our right, the large grey warship, HMS Belfast, the largest cruiser to be built for the Royal Navy during her time. Built in 1938 in the same shipyard in Ireland where they built the ill-fated Titanic, the Harland and Wolff shipyard. She was commissioned for war in 1939. She served all throughout World War II, most famously for her part in the chasing, shelling and eventual sinking of the German battleship, the Scharnhorst. She last fired those big guns in anger in the Korean War in the 50s, where she was the flagship for the United Nations. Now open to the public as a museum, and of course a reminder to British sea power. Open 7 days a week with 7 wonderful decks to explore. HMS Belfast. As we pass the Belfast, another one of London's new buildings. This is it's not a crash helmet there to your right. It's in fact the City Hall, and it's the offices and workplace of our Mayor of London, Mr. Boris Johnson, God help us. Over to your left, we've got one of London's oldest buildings, the Tower of London. Look at the centre part, it's got 4 towers and a flagstaff. This is the original part